Every empire leaves a shadow. Every shadow hides a story. Welcome to Shadows of the Past.
North America, Native American. Civilizations had developed complex architectural traditions that reflected their environment, culture, and way of life. One of the most remarkable examples is Cliff Palace, located in Mesa Verde National Park in present-day Colorado, built by the ancestral Pueblo people around the 12th century. Cliff Palace is the largest cliff dwelling in North America. The structure contains more than 150 rooms and over 20 ceremonial kivas, which were used for religious rituals and community gatherings. The builders used sandstone blocks, wooden beams, and mud mortar to create strong and durable walls by constructing their homes under natural cliff overhangs. The inhabitants gained protection from harsh weather, enemies, and extreme temperatures. Native American architecture varied greatly across the continent depending on geography and available materials. In the forests of the Northeast, tribes built long houses from wood and bark. In the Great Plains, nomadic tribes constructed portable tipis made from animal hides stretched over wooden poles. In the Southwest, the Pueblo people built multi-story adobe structures made from sun-dried mud bricks. These buildings were designed not only for shelter, but also for community living and spiritual life. Many Native American settlements were carefully planned, reflecting strong connections between architecture, nature, and social organization. Today, ancient structures like Cliff Palace remain powerful reminders of the ingenuity and engineering knowledge of early American civilizations. Long before European colonization began, Spanish colonial architecture was one of the earliest European architectural influences in North America. Beginning in the 16th century, Spanish explorers and missionaries built settlements, churches, and missions across the southwestern regions that are now part of the United States. One of the oldest surviving buildings in the country is San Miguel Chapel in Santa Fe, New Mexico, constructed around 1610, often considered the oldest church in the United States. The chapel was built using adobe bricks made from mud, mixed with straw and dried in the sun. Its thick walls help regulate interior temperatures, keeping the building cool in summer and warm in winter. Another important example is Mission San Xavier del Bac near Tucson, Arizona, built in the late 18th century. This mission church represents Spanish Baroque architecture with its white exterior, elegant towers, and richly decorated interior filled with paintings and sculptures. Spanish colonial buildings often featured flat roofs, wooden beams called vigas, inner courtyards, and simple, rectangular shapes. These designs were adapted to the hot and dry climates of the Southwest. Beyond religious functions, Spanish missions also served as centers for agriculture, education, and community life. They played a major role in shaping early settlements and spreading Spanish culture across the region. Today, Spanish colonial architecture remains an important part of American history, particularly in states like California, Arizona, Mexico, and Texas. Early colonial architecture. When English settlers arrived in North America during the 17th century, they brought architectural traditions from Europe. However, they had to adapt their designs to the materials available in the New World and the challenging climate of the colonies. One of the earliest surviving homes from this period is the Jethro Coffin House on Nantucket Island in Massachusetts. Built in 1686, the house is an example of early colonial architecture in New England. It was constructed mainly from wood and features a steeply pitched roof, small windows, and a large central chimney. These design choices were practical. The steep roof allowed snow to slide off easily during winter, while the central chimney helped heat the entire house. Small windows reduced heat loss and protected against strong winds. Religious buildings were also central to colonial communities. Churches were often simple wooden structures but were carefully designed to reflect the settlers' religious values and social organization. Colonial architecture also developed regional variations. In the southern colonies, homes were often built with brick and featured large porches to provide shade in warmer climates. In the middle colonies, builders combined influences from England, the Netherlands, and Germany. Overall, early colonial architecture focused on practicality, durability, and simplicity. These early buildings laid the foundation for many later architectural styles that would develop in the growing American colonies. Revolutionary-era architecture. During the late 18th century, the American colonies experienced major political and social change as they moved toward independence from Britain. This transformation also influenced architecture, especially in public buildings and civic spaces. An important structure from this period is Carpenters Hall in Philadelphia, completed in 1775. This historic building served as the first Continental Congress, where colonial leaders gathered to discuss their response to British rule. Architecturally, Carpenters Hall reflects the Georgian style, which was popular in British colonies during the 18th century. Georgian architecture emphasized symmetry, proportion, and classical design. Elements inspired by ancient Greek Roman buildings. The building was constructed using red brick and features balanced windows, decorative moldings, and elegant architectural details. These elements reflected the desire for order, stability, and sophistication. During the Revolutionary era, architecture began to symbolize political ideals as well as practical needs. Public buildings, meeting halls, and government offices were designed to represent the values of democracy, civic responsibility, and unity among the colonies. Philadelphia, in particular, became an architectural center of political activity, with many important buildings constructed during this period. Today, structures like Carpenters Hall remain powerful symbols of the early American struggle for independence and demonstrate how architecture played an important role in shaping the nation's identity. Neoclassical architecture and Thomas Jefferson. After gaining independence, the young United States sought an architectural style that could represent its democratic ideals and cultural aspirations. Many leaders believed that the architecture of ancient Greece and Rome represented the values of democracy, reason, responsibility. One of the most influential figures in promoting this architectural vision was Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United. Jefferson was not only a political leader, but also an architect who deeply admired classical design. His famous home, Monticello in Virginia, is one of the best examples of early American neoclassical architecture inspired by European Renaissance and Roman architecture. The building features symmetrical design, tall columns, and a distinctive. Jefferson believed architecture should educate citizens and reflect the ideals of the Republic. He carefully planned Monticello to combine beauty, functionality, and innovation. The house included advanced features for its time, such as skylights, hidden storage spaces, and efficient room layouts. Neoclassical architecture quickly became popular across the United States, especially for government buildings and public institutions. The style symbolized stability, intelligence, and a connection to the democratic traditions. Through his architectural projects and ideas, Thomas Jefferson helped establish a national architectural identity that influenced American design today. Early government architecture, as the United States developed its political institutions after independence, the design of government buildings became extremely important. Leaders wanted architecture that represented authority, democracy, and the strength of the new republic. One of the most important examples is the Virginia State Capitol, designed by Thomas Jefferson. The building was inspired by a Roman temple known as the Maison Carrée in France. Its classical columns, symmetrical design, and triangular reflect the principles neoclassical architecture. Another important building from this era is the Massachusetts State House in Boston, completed in 1798. Large golden dome building is which famous has become one of Boston's recognizable landmarks. These buildings were designed not only to serve practical functions, but also to symbolize the ideals of the American government. The use of classical elements connected the new nation to the democratic traditions of ancient Greece and Rome. Government architecture of this period often included grand entrances, tall columns, wide staircases, and carefully balanced proportions. These features created a sense of dignity, permanence, and respect for public institutions. Through these architectural designs, early American leaders hoped to inspire confidence in academic architecture. Education played a central role in the development of American society, and architecture became an important part of shaping educational institutions. One of the most famous examples of academic architecture in the United States is the Rotunda. Designed by Thomas Jefferson, the Rotunda was inspired by the ancient Roman Pantheon. The building features a large central dome and classical columns, reflecting Jefferson's admiration for classical architecture and his belief in the importance of knowledge. Jefferson designed the entire University of Virginia campus as an academic village. Instead of placing one large building in the center, he arranged classrooms, student housing, and gardens around a large open lawn. This design encouraged interaction between students and professors and created a community focused on learning and intellectual exchange. The Rotunda served as the university's library and symbolized the central role of education in American democracy. Jefferson believed that an educated population was essential for maintaining freedom and responsible government. Today, the Rotunda remains one of the most iconic university buildings in the United States and is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The White House and federal architecture. One of the most famous buildings in the United States is the White House in Washington, D.C., built between 1792 and 1800. It serves as the official residence and President of the United States. The design of the White House reflects neoclassical architectural principles, which were popular during the early years of the Republic. The building features symmetrical proportions, tall columns, and elegant decorative elements inspired by classical Greek and Roman architecture. Several architects contributed to the design and development of the White House, including Benjamin Henry Latrobe, who helped refine its architectural style and interior layout. The White House has undergone numerous renovations and expansions throughout its history, particularly after being damaged during the War of 1812. Despite these changes, has retained its distinctive architectural identity. The building has become a powerful symbol of American government and leadership. Its iconic white facade and grand porticos around the world. Beyond its political importance, the White House also represents the architectural vision of the early United States, combining elegance, simplicity, and classical inspiration. Plantation architecture. During the 19th century, plantation homes became prominent in the southern United States. These large estates were centers of agricultural production, particularly for crops such as cotton, sugar, and tobacco. One of the most famous examples is the Nottoway Plantation House in Louisiana. Built in 1859, it is the largest remaining antebellum plantation in the American South. Plantation houses were designed to reflect wealth and social status. Many of them were influenced by the Greek Revival architectural style, which included tall columns, grand staircases, and symmetrical layouts. Wide verandas and large windows were common features that helped cool the interior spaces in the hot southern climate. High ceilings also allowed air to circulate more easily throughout the building. The interiors were often decorated with elaborate furnishings, chandeliers, and finely crafted woodwork. While plantation homes represent an important architectural tradition, they are also connected to a complex and difficult history involving slavery and economic inequality. Today, many plantation houses have been preserved as historical sites that help visitors understand both the architectural beauty and the historical realities of the period. Frontier and sod house architecture. As settlers moved westward across the United States during the 19th, they faced harsh environmental conditions and limited building materials. In the Great Plains region, where trees were scarce, pioneers developed a unique architectural solution known as the sod house. Sod houses were built using thick blocks of soil covered with grass roots. These blocks were cut directly from the ground and stacked like bricks to form walls. The roofs were often supported by beams and covered with additional layers of sod. Although simple in appearance, sod houses were surprisingly effective. The thick earth walls provided excellent insulation, keeping interiors cool during the summer and warm during the winter. These homes were commonly used by settlers under the Homestead Act of 1862, encouraged Americans to move west and establish farms. Sod houses symbolized the resilience and determination of frontier settlers. Families often lived in these small structures while working hard to develop farmland and build permanent communities. Over expanded time, and building materials became more accessible, sod houses were gradually replaced by wooden and brick homes. However, they remain an important symbol of pioneer life and the challenges faced by early settlers during America's westward expansion.